Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Privacy Snapshot brought to you by Blue Sky Privacy, where we talk to you about trending privacy news and practical privacy tips. And Kate Christensen from Patreon is here with us today to share with us some practical privacy tips. And Kate is currently the legal operations associate at Patreon, but recently passed the bar and is soon going to be associate product counsel. So congratulations on that huge feat. I love Kate's story, and I'm going to say it quickly, and then we're going to let you delve into our topic today, which is around data subject rights fulfillment and moving from manual to automated processes. But Kate grew up in Utah, and you were sharing with me that that's the headquarters of the NSA, and the Edward Snowden revelations were really impactful for you. And that experience of learning about all of that led you to law school, where you knew you wanted to study privacy law, which I think is super cool because those of us who started a long time ago, it wasn't an option. It wasn't even a thing. So it's always really neat to meet folks who chose that as their career. So you have a tagline, and I'm going to let you share it because I love this.
Sure. Well, thank you, Teresa, and I'm excited to be with you today. My tagline is this: after conducting research on recent privacy law developments, I've come up with a personal thesis that the only thing really preventing companies from delivering on the promise of privacy rights for consumers is the cost of compliance. For this reason, I've dedicated my work to reducing the cost of compliance for corporations so they can deliver on those privacy rights and consumers can enjoy them as well.
And so in that regard, then you have actually put together some documentation that you worked on really hard to support startups and others who might not have the resources that you've had in your company to operationalize laws like the CCPA, and you're willing to share that. So we'll put a link in our write-up about this. So let's come to our topic today, Kate, which is this whole world of data subject requests. And as you say, the cost of compliance. And I really identify with that long before the GDPR and the CCPA, those of us in the privacy world were not twiddling our thumbs. There were already plenty, over 100 privacy and data protection laws. And most of them had provisions around data subject requests. There just weren't that many requests that came in. And partly it was enforcement was not so great. Knowledge about the rights was not so strong. But when they did come in, it was hours of work per one request. I think some of us have benchmarked that over time, like 8 to 12 hours per request. Just of the privacy department. That didn't count the marketing team's time, customer service. When you start to log that kind of time, you quickly realize that that is not a scalable approach, if your requests bump up. So you've done a lot of thinking about this. Your company at some point chose to use a fully automated tool for certain types of requests. And you're going to share with us that process of decision making, all the shades of considerations between manual and automated processes. So you have the floor.
Well, thank you. Yes, automating data subject requests is a topic that I'm particularly passionate about because there can be huge cost savings in automation. So the data subject requests processed internally can have a totally manual approach, meaning that all of the work is done internally by employees, or there can be an automated approach, which typically involves implementing a software tool to ensure that the requests are managed mostly by software and less so by human resources. So on the manual side of things, your processes may look like the legal team corralling other departments, engineering, security, marketing, as you said, to respond to the data subject requests. And that includes making an initial contact via email or otherwise, and also processing the request, downloading the data stored about that consumer to provide access, or manually deleting that account, as well as manual record keeping. On the other hand, automation can generally do most of those steps for you. So there can be less time invested by the legal team, the security team, and the engineering team in responding to those requests. So for example, a software tool might have an automated notification via email to communicate with the data subject. And a software tool might be able to pull those access files for you or delete those accounts as well. Now, in the middle, there might be a shade of automation for a company. If you're not ready to go fully automated, if you're not ready to invest in that software solution, there are low-hanging fruits that you can grasp on as well. That might look like creating an automatic email notification process. It might look like, automating the identification verification procedures as well. Or it might look like creating an automated process internally to have a script or the like run through your database to pull that information or to delete it as well. On the spectrum of automation, you'll generally start at the manual level with heavy investment of human capital. And that is going to be at a great expense. Unfortunately, we often forget to calculate in the cost of human capital when thinking about data processes. But on the other side of an automated process, there is going to be an investment typically on a software solution that will have initial costs upfront. And hopefully, if you are investing in that software solution, it is taking off the cost of the human capital for your internal teams.
I think that's really important consideration, honing in on that cost of capital to your human teams, because that often goes unlogged beyond the privacy office. So a question that I've thought about for you is, I mean, you shared with me that your company's processing 1,000+ requests a day. That obviously is not a process that is manageable manually. And thankfully, the tools out there are becoming more affordable and more robust and easier to implement. So there's some really, really quality offerings in the marketplace now. Can you say a little bit about how you got the buy-in to pursue and look for a tool like that? Because there, as you point out, there's a lot of shades from like partially automated to automating workflow to really, automating that back end where you're not even, because that's where a lot of the work is. How did you get the buy-in from all the stakeholders that needed to participate in that?
I think you hit on a particular pain point for any legal team, right? Having buy-in to be compliant with laws is always an obstacle that the legal team has to overcome and campaign for. But I encourage legal teams to view this process not as a frustration about the amount of buy-in at the company, but an opportunity to show that the legal team is thinking about prioritization and thinking about scalability. Those are the words that typically have more effect on the company internally, right? So when talking about data subject requests and campaigning for a software solution or any degree of automation, it's important to convey what this will bring to the company. And what that is less burden on internal teams. So we can revert internal teams back to focusing on the core product at hand or the key company issues. Also, we want to talk about scalability. Processing 1,000 DSRs per day is not a feat that can be done by one person manually. That being said, it's important to think in the future. Where are we going to be in 5 years? How many requests will we have per day in 5 years? So in balancing prioritization and scalability, I think this gives the legal team a great opportunity to show that they are business first and really considering the value of the company generally.
That's a nice point. So you were able to make that case to, the engineering team, which is going to have a huge role in this implementation and onboarding. So as those of you listen know that this is a snapshot, privacy snapshot. So we give a taste of an important topic, but we can't go much further today. But Kate, thank you for sharing the insights that you did. And thank you for the work that you were doing, on the personal side of the privacy profession, just to advance and promote our profession and support others newer to the field and organizations that need help with compliance. So thank you, Kate. And to those of you listening, we'll post a link to the paper that she mentioned that can help support thinking through all the issues in operationalizing the California Consumer Privacy Act. Thanks, Kate.